So far, we've learned how to analyze an argument, how to analyze a piece of literature, and how to write your own argument. This week, we'll be looking at how to write persuasively. So you might be wondering what the difference is between argumentative writing and persuasive writing. At first glance, the two can seem very similar. They both seek to prove to the reader through the use of evidence and claims that your opinion is right. Here's the difference, though. While argumentative writing tends to support one side of a debatable issue, it is much more balanced than persuasive writing in that it offers evidence and claims for one side of the issue while still acknowledging counterclaims from the opposition. The end goal of an argumentative piece is usually to show the reader that your argument on the debatable issue is valid and that it should be considered. Persuasive writing, on the other hand, is much more centered on convincing the reader of something, using whatever means possible. The end goal is typically to get the reader to do something, to act in some way, to believe a particular view, or to fund a certain project. In other words, persuasive writing usually aims to get something from the reader. In many cases, persuasive writing is much more passionate, personal, and emotional than argumentative writing, using more appeals to pathos than logos. Think, for example, of the TV commercials that seek to convince you to donate money to an animal cruelty foundation by showing you heart-wrenching video clips of sad, deprived cats and dogs shivering in their cages. In a sense, some persuasive techniques can be considered manipulative. This isn't always the case, though. Other pieces of persuasive writing seek to convince you of something through motivation or inspiration. Dieting programs may try to convince you to buy their particular brand of food and pay for a membership to their program by persuading you that you'll shed ridiculous amounts of weight and become a happier, healthier you. Not all persuasive writing uses emotional appeals, though. In the professional world, appeals may be more centered on facts and figures that can help a company save money or be more productive. For our final essay, we'll be focusing on using persuasive writing in the real world, particularly your real world. Before you get started, you'll need to carefully read through this week's reading assignment, which explains in much greater detail how to write a proposal. Your assignment will be to write an unsolicited proposal that attempts to persuade your reader or readers to do something. First, I want you to pick a topic that relates to you personally from one of the following areas. Number 1, you can choose a topic related to your career, whether it be a job that you already have or hope to get in the future. Number 2, you can choose a topic related to your community in some way. This can be aimed towards your neighborhood, school district, your town or area, ward, etc., so long as it's manageable and localized section of your own personal community. Number 3, you can choose a topic related to your school, whether it be online or on campus. Once you've decided on the area you want to work in, you'll need to come up with an idea on what you want to persuade your reader to do. For career-related proposals, your topic will depend greatly on your job. Again, I don't care if you want to tackle a job that you currently have, even if it's not your dream job, or imagine a topic from your future career of choice. A restaurant server might propose a way to more fairly distribute tables to waitstaff to his or her general manager. A software salesman may seek to convince a business owner to upgrade all of the computers in an office. A teacher might try to persuade his or her chair to award them with a research grant to travel somewhere to study a certain topic. As a way of brainstorming for topics in this area, think about what your major goal would be in your career, some problems that might arise, and possible solutions to those problems. For community-related proposals, think about what issues currently exist in your area and some ways that you believe they could be improved. Perhaps you've noticed that a lot of people in your neighborhood aren't complying with your homeowners association rules by trashing their yards and never cutting their lawns. Or maybe you've seen several people speeding through your neighborhood streets where children like to play. You could also tackle issues related to your children's school, like buses always running late. Or you could propose a new after-school activity that you think would benefit the youth of your community. Think of ways that these issues could be solved. For example, working closely with the neighborhood HOA and recruiting more volunteers to conduct inspections and write reports might help to reduce the number of houses in your neighborhood that are neglected and unappealing. Finally, you could also write your proposal based on something at your school. Maybe you feel like some kind of technology needs updating, such as projectors and screens. Or maybe, as an online student, you feel that there should be more online resources available to you. Perhaps you have a complaint with parking, or think that the bathroom in the science building needs renovating. Whatever issue you choose, be sure to propose a solution that is reasonable. Since the aim here is to convince your reader that your idea should be enacted, you'll need to give them options that are obtainable within reason. Some of these organizations cannot make funds magically appear or fit into their budget, for example. In these cases, try to think of some ways that money could be raised to support your cause. In order to determine your audience, you might need to do some research. In some cases, your audience may be a single person, like your boss or a business owner. In other cases, you might need to target a board of officials. If your audience is a single person, do some Google searching to find out his or her name and address your proposal to that person. In cases of multiple recipients, use a salutation directed to a particular group, such as Dear Sales Team, Dear Colleagues or Co-workers, or Dear Profile Committee. If all else fails, use a neutral salutation like Greetings, which will do nicely as well. Your tone should range from very formal to moderately formal depending on your audience. Remember that you are trying to gain something from your proposal. Being professional is key. For this essay, we're going to use a format more common to the professional world, a formal letter. Though a variety of letter formats exist, we're going to use the most classic and basic format, the block format. Many professional letters begin with a company's specialized letterhead that lists the name of the company, often in logo format, plus the address, phone number, and email address that the recipient can use to contact you. If you've chosen to write on behalf of a company, whether it be your current job or an imagined job, go ahead and create a simple letterhead that uses your company's name. If you feel like being creative, use the company's logo or make one yourself. If you've chosen to write a proposal regarding your community or school and don't represent a company, just use your name in place of the company name. Next, skip a space and write the date. Skip another space and write the inside address. This is the address where you will be sending your letter. Include the name of the recipient or recipients here as well, or the name of the company followed by the name of the group you are writing to. Skip another space and write your salutation like we discussed earlier. Since this is a formal letter, use a colon to end your salutation instead of a comma. Skip a space and begin writing the body of your letter. You may find it beneficial to use headings to help organize your proposal, like the examples found in your readings. The entirety of each paragraph should be flush with the left margin in a block formatted letter. Do not indent the first line of each paragraph like you're used to. When you finish writing the body, skip a line and write your closing followed by a comma. A good formal closing is sincerely, but you could also use respectfully or thank you if you think one of these suits your tone better. Finally, skip another space and write your name followed by your position title if you are representing a company. More details of exactly what items you should include in your proposal can be found within your readings for this week, but I'll go ahead and mention some of the most important components here. Again, your assignment is to write an unsolicited proposal, meaning that you are not writing in response to a request made by a company or organization, but are instead offering your proposal at your own initiative. If you have decided to write a proposal focused on your career, you may choose to write either an internal or external proposal. Refer to your readings for more details on this. The first thing you'll need to do is convince the reader that there is a problem that needs fixing. Using one of our examples from earlier, you could describe the ugly houses that are turning your neighborhood into an eyesore and show the reader what might happen if the problem continues to be ignored. Perhaps mice are becoming a problem, and the neglected houses could cause health hazards that will cost the neighborhood money to contain. Furthermore, the houses that are in non-compliance with the HOA standards may cause the value of the neighborhood to deplete. Whatever your issue is, be sure to first convince your reader that there is indeed a problem, and that if things continue the way they are, the problem is sure to get worse, or cost the company money, or prevent our kids from getting a better education, and so on. Next, you'll want to introduce your plan for fixing the problem. Be sure to include all of the necessary details, including a step-by-step procedure, giving the reader the estimated time and costs that your procedure will require, and how you will go about ensuring that the procedure is carried out according to your specifications. If there is any possibility of potential issues that may arise while your procedure is being carried out, be fair and mention them here along with a plan to alleviate these difficulties should they actually happen. You'll also need to convince your reader that you were the one for the job by explaining your qualifications. If you're writing for an imaginary company, you may need to make these up. However, if you're writing about your community or school, your qualifications need only be that you have been a member of the community or school for however many years, and that you and your family or your classmates are directly affected by the issue at hand. Perhaps you have other skills in this topic area that you were discussing as well that should be mentioned. And finally, close your proposal with a description of the benefits your project will bring to the company, the community, or the school. Urge your reader to consider accepting your proposal and request that they get back to you through whatever method you prefer within a reasonable time frame for your particular issue. This essay will require a minimum word count of 800 words, which is slightly more than your previous essays, but is really only compensating for the additional words used to open and close your letter. Your maximum word count is 1,000 words. As for sources, you will not be required to integrate your sources into your text, but you should include a bibliography page that lists the sources that you used to research your topic in MLA format. A bibliography lists sources that you used to write your essay but did not necessarily cite, whereas a works cited page lists only sources that you have used within your text. These could include any books, articles, or websites that helped you understand your topic better or provided you with additional information such as the names and addresses of your recipients. These don't necessarily have to come from the library or online databases, but use your best judgment and make sure that your sources are as reliable as possible. Use a minimum of at least one outside source, although it is likely you will need more than this to write a decent proposal. As always, send any questions my way or ask your classmates on the whatever board. Happy writing!